Hi guys, Bran here, and if I'm not, it would be an empty chair. Today we're going to be talking about something a little different. It's going to be a little bit more of a rant video, but not necessarily like an angry rant, but more of like a positive rant, which, you know, I guess what you even call it a rant at that point. Either way, nobody would listen to a positive, like, what would that be? Scriptless? I'd be saying scriptless. I don't know. I feel like if I labeled anything else besides a rant, nobody would click anyway, so like... It's a rant. It's a positive rant, though, because today we're going to be talking about advice for people that stream Dead by Daylight, and this applies to both people in my community who stream and also people that watch streamers who maybe get stressed playing the game or just streaming Dead by Daylight in general. So there's something to take away from both of those crowds. Ironically enough, I found these little 2 tidbits of advice on TikTok, of all places. I follow a lot of TikToks that like repost like Reddit posts. Sometimes they're creepy, sometimes they're informative. There's one of those informative ones, and this one was talking about bombshells that your therapist dropped that changed your entire outlook. And I found 2 of these could actually be very, very applicable to the consecration sphere, specifically with Dead by Daylight. And I would like to pass that info on. I know a lot of you that do watch me are content creators yourself, bigger than me, smaller than me, and also most of you, obviously, in taking here, watch DBD content creators. So maybe you can pass this advice on to one of your favorite content creators. They find themselves in a rut. So yeah, without further ado, let's stop yapping and go ahead and get started. So the first bit of advice that I found extremely helpful was stop trying to get everyone to agree. When you need everyone to agree, the least agreeable person in the room has all the power. I think this is especially a tremendously big issue in the Dead by Daylight community, because we've made plenty of videos about misinformation in the Dead by Daylight community and how rampant it is. So it feels like I'm kind of beating a dead horse at a certain point, but it does continue to be a pervasive issue that affects us all. I think the problem is that I feel like, for whatever reason, it feels like a lot of the Dead by Daylight community really has kind of like a pick me mentality. They want to have the hot take, they want to be different, they want to be seen. So even if this includes spreading misinformation and saying things that aren't actually true, they want the attention. They don't want to put hard work into a stream. They don't want to put hard work into something like a guide. They just kind of want to pretend that they're an expert, or pretend they have the, you know, dissenting opinion, the secret information that nobody else seems to have. And I feel like this advice is really good for not like feeding into those people, especially in the DBD content creation sphere. You know, the idea of content creation in general is typically to appease as many people as possible, to have as many numbers in your YouTube, in your Twitch, whatever it happens to be, as possible, have as many people viewing and watching as possible, which to some extent sometimes boils down to being as agreeable as possible. But I would, you know, take this advice very to heart, which is that when you're trying to get everybody to agree, the least agreeable person has all the power. I'm not saying die on every hill and fight everybody who argues with you, but try not to compromise your own thoughts and feelings about the game that you know to be true, just to try and be as marketable as possible to everybody. Don't agree with the person that says Trapper is like mid-tier just because they feel really passionate about it. Don't fight like, there's no reason to have that fight. There's no reason to make that person, or to platform a person that is not necessarily saying very wise and intelligent things, just because you're trying to be as appealing as possible. That do not compromise your own beliefs and your own thoughts and the things that you know to be true, just because you're trying to get everybody to get along. The second bit of advice that I found tremendously helpful is actually the last one on this little slideshow. It says that my counselor said to imagine myself as an orange. Or as a cat toy, as Will seems to think as he bats me in the arm. Think of myself as an orange, then consider that not all people like oranges. That doesn't mean that the orange is flawed in any way, not rotten, just that everyone has preferences. That helped ease my insecurities and the need for people pleasing dramatically. I feel like this is a big thing, once again, with the content creation sphere, kind of tied in somewhat to what we have already talked about so far, is I feel like a lot of streamers get very stressed and anxious about trying to make themselves as marketable as possible. And that, you know, in the first slide that we covered, comes directly down to being like, you know, as agreeable as possible, which is not great. But this one focuses more on like kind of like that internal questioning and anxiety that you get while you're making things, or even just in the way you play the game, even like questioning yourself and wondering how you could be more seen in a positive light. But realistically, we're all different. We're all different people, and it just, sometimes you're just not someone's taste, right? Like, there's plenty of people in the Dead by Daylight community who are like super aggressive killer mains, never play Survivor, and Survivors can do no right, and they just sit there and they're just super mad at Survivors all the time, and they always see things from the killer's perspective. Wow, I didn't know I couldn't say perspective, apparently. But on the flip side, there's a bunch of Survivor mains that only play Survivor and killers can do no right, and they're super aggressive that way. And there's plenty of people that come to watch those people in droves. As a matter of fact, some of the most prolific and very high number drawing content creators in the community are usually the super polarizing ones that have extreme side bias. I don't find those kind of people interesting, but that's not for me, right? I like to see the game as like down the middle as I possibly can, which means not watching only killer bias content creators, but it also means not watching only Survivor bias content creators. That doesn't mean that they're necessarily bad or terrible. Obviously, they wouldn't have the numbers they would have if they weren't entertaining, but that just means that they're not my flavor. They're not my preference. One of the big things that I say when it comes down to one of the big sayings that I've had that's helped me tremendously, obviously being out there and a public figure in the public space as a Dead by Daylight content creator, a lot of people have a lot of thoughts and feelings about me, and a lot of them are not very positive. There's a lot of positive ones, but there's also not a lot of positive ones. People feel negatively about me for one reason or another, but realistically, it's none of my business what you think of me. It's none of my business what you think of me. Because, you know, just like this slideshow says, maybe I'm not for you. Maybe I'm the orange and you don't like oranges. You like fruits. Maybe you're a veggie guy. That's fine. That's totally cool. That's totally up to you. I literally cannot be perfect. I cannot be in a way that appeases everybody, especially in a community that's as us versus them as this one. I can't be in a position where I please everyone. And especially when I make as much content as I do every single day, I can't hit everybody's opinions evenly. I cannot appease everybody evenly. It's just not possible. It's just not possible. So it's not really into my business what you think. You can do whatever you want. As long as you're not hurting anybody, you can do whatever you want. You can hate who you want. You can like who you want. At the end of the day, it's not my business. And maybe I'm just not your flavor. I think DBD streamers in particular get really caught up in trying to be someone who's agreeable and to be catch as many tastes as possible and to be as objectively good as possible, quote unquote. Hey. But honestly, as long as this little rascal likes me, good old Wilhelm, as long as this little rascal got me, I'm good. I'm happy. As long as I make good quality content and my cat loves me, we're good. We're totally good. Right, Wilhelm? Wilhelm? Right, Will? He's in air jail because he was messing with the lamp. He's not allowed to touch the lamp. Hey, remember that you are an orange, but not everybody likes oranges. Somebody will be your preference, but a lot of people won't be your preference. It doesn't mean you're objectively bad in any way, shape, or form, whether that be your stream, your YouTube content, your playstyle in the game. It just means that that's not their preference, and that's okay. That's their own P's and Q's. They can choose to like or dislike whatever they want, just like you choose to like and dislike whatever you want. Right, Will? Just like how you prefer your dry kibble over your wet kibble. Right? You're not even looking at me. But yeah, hopefully these little bits of advice have helped you today. I know it's kind of a different video, more based on like trying to be positive and help people out. I know that's not usually the kind of the speed on the channel, but hopefully it does help. I like trying to help the community as much as I can, give the world a better place when I found and all that wonderful stuff. So hopefully this, you know, echoed somewhere positively for some of you. But if it didn't, I don't know. It's just another video. I upload daily. I'll be here tomorrow. It'll be something else. I appreciate you all so much that stuck with me here today, though. And I will see you tomorrow because I do upload daily. But if I do not, I will see you when I see you. Say bye, Will. Look, they're right there. They're right there. Look. Say bye. Bye. You say bye? Sometimes he says bye. We'll cut to, hey, you say bye? No, he doesn't feel like it. Anyways, goodbye, goodbye, bye.